Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Santa Fe Opera.
Hello and good evening from my home in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm bass-baritone Ryan McKinny, and I am delighted to welcome you to the third episode of Songs from the Santa Fe Opera, celebrating the 5 originally scheduled opening nights of the 2020 season. Tonight we pay tribute to what would have been the company premiere of Richard Wagner's Tristan und Isolde. I invite you to take a moment to pour a glass of champagne, or in my case, a glass of Bavarian Schwarzbier with just a dash of Liebestod. And don't forget to share photos of your at-home tailgate with the hashtags #ShowUsYourTailgate and SFOFashion. In the last 2 episodes of Songs from the Santa Fe Opera, Susan Graham and Anthony Michaels Moore told you about the behind-the-scenes tradition of rating the sunset from the back deck. I have been there myself, and when given the choice between the makeup chair or taking in a magnificent Santa Fe sunset, nature always wins. I recall Susan and Anthony both giving their sunsets an 8. Well, tonight I'm upping the ante because we are headed to a perfect 10. I first sang at the Santa Fe Opera in 2015 as Johanna on in an amazing new production of Salome directed by Daniel Slater. It was my first time at Santa Fe Opera though. I had covered there a few years earlier and it's just an incredible place. I wasn't an opera person when I was a kid. My parents were classical guitarists. My grandmother took me to musical theater, but I remember the first time that I heard a recording of an opera singer. I think it was actually George London, and I just couldn't believe the sounds that came out of these people's mouths and the incredible emotion that could be transmitted just through sound. It's just been such an incredible journey, and to be a part of the Santa Fe Opera family has been amazing. One of the most amazing things about the Santa Fe Opera is the incredible surroundings. And when you show up to the theater for your performance, this incredible sunset is happening, and the light everywhere is beautiful, and it's just beaming with energy, and it's so exciting. My most recent summer with the Santa Fe Opera was in 2018, where I performed the role of Robert Oppenheimer in John Adams and Peter Sellers' Dr. Atomic. It was one of the most incredible experiences of my life, especially having the incredible indigenous people that performed with us and that shared with us their sacred dances and their sacred songs. It was just such an amazing experience. I was so proud to be part of this historic moment for the art form. This summer, I was so looking forward to returning to the Santa Fe Opera to sing the role of Kurvenal, the faithful servant of Tristan in the Santa Fe Opera's first staging of Tristan und Isolde. You know, I've sung a lot of Wagner roles, and I gotta say that Kurvenal is one of my favorite. He comes across as a tough guy, but in the end, he just loves his friend. And one of the most amazing things about singing Kurvenal is that in Act 3, you get to witness up close the incredible heroism of a tenor singing Wagner's Act 3 Tristan. It's just amazing to witness. To get us started, let's take a few minutes to learn more about Wagner's Tristan und Isolde from Dramaturg Cori Ellison.
The story of Tristan and Isolde is really simple. You could tell it in a couple of sentences. These two people who think they hate each other discover that they love each other, and that causes a lot of problems because the woman is married to a king, and that ultimately results in their destruction. And that's the plot, really. We know from the very beginning that Isolde, this young Irish princess, is very adept at potions, and that she has with her on this ship a little stock of potions that her mother has given her. And the expectation is set up that it's these potions that cause the magic. Now, volumes have been written about this, and people in Wagner societies all over the world, and I'm sure here in Santa Fe too, argue about this. Is it really magic? Or, our director, Zach Winokur, and many people feel that Tristan and Isolde were really in love before there was any potion involved, and that expecting to die, they both expect that they're going to die, and they don't, and the realization is that they've instead drunk this love potion, which gives them permission to fully experience and admit and go after this huge love that has been pent up between them. In 1865, when this opera, Tristan and Isolde, premiered, Wagner was, of course, in the midst of revolutionizing music and music theater. And a lot of people really thought he was nuts at that time. They thought he was completely over the top. There were a lot of very conservative critics that wrote nasty things about him. But of course, what happened is eventually this Wagner and this piece, Tristan in particular, just revolutionized theater and music. It cracked open all sorts of things. The whole idea of the Tristan chord, this chord that the opera starts with, that is this very ambiguous, is it a major chord, is it a minor chord? We don't know. It doesn't resolve, though. It doesn't resolve until hours later at the very end of the opera. And that little chord just blows apart Western music. It just it sets the stage for a kind of musical innovation, a kind of expansion of harmony that leads to really the dissolution of tonality. It's staggering.
I have always found the German term Gesamtkunstwerk to be, first of all, a mouthful, but also the best way to sum up all that is fantastic about opera in one word. It is the perfection that is achieved when all of the elements of musical theater come together in harmony. The orchestra, the singers, the dancers, sets and staging, the costumes. And what is truly special about an opera in Santa Fe is that there is another element, one that is unique to the Santa Fe Opera. And that is the fusion of the art on stage and the magic happening as the sun sets behind the theater. Tristan was going to bring together an incredible group of artists. Stage director Zach Winokur, conductor James Gaffigan, and an impressive cast with my colleagues Tamara Wilson, Simon O'Neill, Eric Owens, and Jamie Barton. Sadly, this year, as all of you are too aware, the world had other plans in store. My colleagues and I are heartbroken that we are unable to bring this incredible work to the Santa Fe Opera stage. But all is not lost. Tonight, through the power of technology and a fair amount of willpower, we have found a way to celebrate Wagner's epic masterwork. Piano virtuoso Franz Liszt made numerous transcriptions of other composers' works, including Wagner's Tristan und Isolde. Liszt's piano rendition of the famous closing scene, Mild und leise wie lächelt, is incidentally the source of the title that we are so familiar with today, Isolde's Liebestod, translated literally as Isolde's love death. Some call Liszt's transcription sophisticated. Others call it notoriously difficult. I call it some of the finest music imaginable, performed in one of the most sublime settings you will ever see. While I might be on the other side of the continent, I don't want to make you wait for that Santa Fe sunset any longer. I am thrilled to introduce the incredibly talented head of music staff at the Santa Fe Opera, Robert Tweten, performing Liszt's transcription of Isolde's Liebestod. Wow, and bravo, Bob. And for those of you at home, Bob perfected that piece in only 2 weeks. Talk about a true artist in his element. To all of you from Canada to Japan tuning in on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, I'd love for you to rate tonight's sunset in the comment box. While our rating scale runs from 1 to 10, with 10 being tops, I'm going to give this one an 11. Next up, we have a special treat from Isolde herself, the powerhouse soprano Tamara Wilson. Tamara was scheduled to make her Santa Fe Opera and Roll debut this summer. She is known for her interpretations of Verdi, Mozart, Strauss, and Wagner, and is a recipient of the prestigious Richard Tucker Award. In the mid-19th century, as the creative seeds of Tristan und Isolde were beginning to take root in Wagner's mind, his friend and, as speculated by many, his romantic muse, Matilda Wesendonck, wrote 5 poems and shared them with the composer. These poems inspired a cycle of 5 songs known as the Wesendonck Lieder. Wagner himself called 2 of the songs studies for Tristan und Isolde, using for the first time certain musical ideas that are later developed in the opera. The 5th song in the cycle, Träume, or Dreams, can be heard in the love duet in Act 2 of Tristan. While their romance is still considered only a rumor, Wagner and Wesendonck's artistic synergy certainly contributed to the intensity and passion in the conception of Tristan und Isolde. Tammy will now perform for us Wagner's Träume. Brava, Tammy. Following this glimpse into Wagner's creative journey, we are in for something completely different, and only for those of you with your sense of humor still intact, as Tammy will sing for us the old-time cowboy tune Along the Old Santa Fe Trail. For this, she is accompanied by her mother, Connie Wilson, proving that good, fun music making runs in the family. Please help me in welcoming to the screen Tamara and Connie Wilson. Bravi, Tammy, and Connie. That song has me longing to head west. I'm looking forward to a time when we can all be together again along the old Santa Fe Trail, under the same roof at the Santa Fe Opera. Thank you everyone for joining me on what would have been the opening night of Tristan und Isolde. The mesmerizing beauty of opera sung in the high desert is a masterpiece all its own, and it would not be possible without the support of you, our wonderfully kind and generous patrons. I ask each of you to consider a gift to the Santa Fe Opera. If you help us now, your gift will be matched dollar for dollar by a group of generous friends, having twice the impact and providing twice the support. If you are not usually a donor but purchase tickets to performances, I ask that you consider donating what you would have spent on those tickets. We will be back on the stage once the pandemic is behind us, and that day cannot come soon enough. Until then, it is with the support of fans and friends like you that we will keep the music and magic of the Santa Fe Opera alive. Thank you for considering this request, and thank you for being with us this evening. Please join us next Saturday, July 25th, for a celebration of Antonin Dvorak's Rusalka, hosted from the Crosby Theater at the Santa Fe Opera by soprano Amanda Echelaz. Soprano superstar Eileen Perez will give us her shimmering rendition of Rusalka's famous aria, Song to the Moon, and bass James Creswell will perform Vodnik's aria all the way from Leeds in northern England. We'll also enjoy a discussion with Santa Fe Opera music director Harry Bickett and stage director Sir David Poutney. We will be right here again at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you. Cheers to the power of music. Cheers to the Santa Fe Opera. And cheers to all of you.
Quarantine hope.